Is debt beating you down? You need discipline. You need the Debt Ninja. If you've been caught in a financial trap and need to be set free, then you need the Debt Ninja. Want to stop those harassing collection calls, start saving thousands in interest and fees, and get out of debt fast? Then you need to call the Debt Ninja. The Debt Ninja will find the best companies across the country that will help you consolidate all your bills into one easy payment, reduce your payments by 30 to 50%, and get you out of debt fast. If you have unsecured debt of $10,000 or more, such as credit cards, loans, or medical bills, call the Debt Ninja for a free 15-minute consultation.
Call 800-826-1246. 800-826-1246. That's 800-826-1246. Call today.
The Debt Ninja.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your website, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it. There to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View. Alright, this is Jessie. I am so happy to be back with you guys. Alright, if I sounded a little tired last night, guess what? You caught me. I was. Now, I'm not tired tonight, but boy, has it been a day of it. Now, as my husband loves to point out, we mere mortals are not affected by the UN General Assembly. Well, you might be more affected than you realize, because believe it or not, the UN General Assembly is a place where world leaders gather and they spout platitudes and policies, but sometimes more happens there than meets the eye. Now, I've got some audio clips from the UN General Assembly today, and I've got a few more things. No, I wasn't there. Oh, please, you couldn't pay me enough to be in the middle of that rodeo. Thank you. I'll pass, but thankfully the UN has a lovely site where I can go, ooh, I want that clip, download, poof. So, and all I have to do is send them a notification about which ones I used. And I'm happy to do that, and it meets their terms and services. So I will let you know when this is a clip provided by the UN. All right. There is a lot going on in the world. Don't I say that every day? Don't I say that every day? I think I do. But, yeah, we live in a land of chaos. All right. Brief update. Let me see if I can pull it up on my phone, because I do not have it printed because, well, I didn't quite get there. But, wrong button. All right, I will get there. Give me 2 seconds. I'm sure the AP has it. And, yes, the bomber was charged. So I'm looking to see if I can pull up the list of chargings. Yes. The latest on the explosive devices being found in New York and New Jersey. Ahmad Khan Rahami is facing charges in 2 states after investigators say he planted a series of bombs in New York and New Jersey, including one that injured 31 people. So note that the injury count's gone up. It was 29. A criminal complaint was unsealed Tuesday in Newark, New Jersey, shortly after a virtually identical filing was unsealed in New York. Rahami was captured Monday after being wounded. I'm looking to see if they give me the list of charges. Now, this is interesting. A law enforcement official says the father of the man suspected in the bombings and had contacted the FBI in 2014 following a stabbing to express concerns that his son was a terrorist. The FBI looked into the matter, but that Mohammed Rahami later retracted his comment and said that his son was hanging out with wrong crowd, including gangs. Yeah. Alright, I'm looking for the charges. Give me a second. Alright, give me 1 second. No, I'm not able to find the charges. I will look for it. So, I will find them for you by the end of the show. I'll try and find them during the commercial break, okay? Okay. So, since I don't have it already prepped and pulled up and under my nose, we are just going to roll with what I do have prepped and under my nose. Alright? Alright. You guys are so good like that. You're always willing to hang out with me. And believe it or not, I do check and I do appreciate each and every one of my listeners. And I do know that you are there. Believe it or not, I do know. Alright, there was a lot, believe it or not, going on at the UN today, like I said in my opening statement. Everyone from Ban Ki-moon to President Obama had their chance to spout off today. And a number of them did. And I've got a few of the more interesting clips. Now, for those of you who don't speak a foreign language, join the club. Join the club. I did make sure I got English. So in some cases, you're actually hearing the translator's voice versus the actual person speaking voice. Obviously, with Obama, he's speaking English, at least as far as we can tell. Alright, we are going to start with Ban Ki-moon, because he just let it rip.
Conflict in Syria is taking the greatest number of lives and sowing the widest instability. There is no military solution. Many groups have killed many innocents, but none more so than the government of Syria. Powerful patrons that keep feeding the war machine also have blood on their hands. Present in this hall today are representatives of governments that have ignored, facilitated, funded, participated in, or even planned and carried out atrocities just when we think it cannot get any worse. The bar of depravity sinks lower. Yesterday's sickening, savage, and apparently deliberate attack on a UN Syrian Arab Red Crescent aid convoy is the latest example. The humanitarians delivering life-saving aid were heroes. Those who bombed them were cowards. Accountability for crimes such as these is essential. A political transition is long overdue. After so much violence and misrule, the future of Syria should not rest on the fate of a single man.
All right. Now, that may not sound like really harsh language for you and I, but for the Secretary General of the United Nations, that's letting the fur fly. Because guess what? He will no longer be Secretary General for much longer. And this is a known thing. He is moving on to other things. Hey, I'm not sure I'd want that job. Sorry, I just can't do it. I like the job I got. I like talking to you guys. So what can I say? I don't want to give up this job for that, even though this job doesn't pay very well. But I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. Now, there's other things going on in the news, and I haven't had time to compile all of them. So I am going to work on it because tomorrow night there's some extra time after my show, so I may take advantage of some of that. So I may run my show a little longer. So do not be surprised if tomorrow night runs a little longer. Jessie's been busy today. She's been all over the place. Trust me, Jessie's had a busy day. All right. Now, pulling up some audio I have prepped. Let me get to it, because there's more going on than just that. Just gotta find it. All right, back to the UN. Those of you who were listening last night know that the aid convoy that was headed to a city just west of Aleppo, Syria, was attacked just hours after a ceasefire was ended. And now, of course, Secretary of State John Kerry and senior officials from 24 nations meeting at the United Nations declared that the Syria's ceasefire is not dead, but offered no ideas on how it can be preserved after heavy fighting broke out again, including the bombing of a humanitarian aid convoy by what Pentagon officials said was likely a Russian jet. All right, let's take a listen to this audio clip. I don't recall where this one came from. I may have another one for you as well.
The United Nations has now suspended all aid convoys in Syria after the deadly airstrikes on a Red Crescent convoy. That's the equivalent of the Red Cross. 20 people were killed in the assault northwest of Aleppo. A secondary airstrike killed first responders, according to the U.S. The UN is calling it an attack on humanity, a war crime, clearly threatening to unravel a tenuous ceasefire brokered by Secretary of State Kerry and his Russian counterpart. This as the U.S.-led coalition continues its fight against ISIS. Joining me now is the special presidential envoy for the global coalition to counter ISIS or ISIL, Brett McGurk. Thank you very much. Busy time here with the UN, but this horrific attack on the aid convoy, the the relief agency calling it crime against humanity. The U.S. telling us, White House and State Department officials telling us that they believe this was airstrikes, and the only people in the air are the regime and the Russians are the guarantors of the regime. Russia's claiming it was artillery from anti-Assad rebels.
We think it was an airstrike. It wasn't us, so that leaves only two candidates. This is a convoy that had been very well coordinated. People should have known where it was. And obviously, Secretary Kerry saw Foreign Minister Lavrov today. They had a very candid discussion about this entire thing. Then joined with the entire international support group for Iraq, a number of countries from the region, and about 24 countries from the world that really want to try to de-escalate the conflict in Syria. An outrageous act, and unanimity on that. We need to find out exactly what happened, but we think it was an airstrike, and there are only two candidates for that.
If we think it's an airstrike, and the fact that we...
All right, as you heard, all indications point to the fact that this was an airstrike. There are 3 countries routinely bombing stuff in Syria: the U.S., Russia, and Syria. Now, we try and stay away from aid convoys. We try and go, wait a minute. Now, a spokesman for Russian President Vladimir Putin, who is not attending the UN meeting, described hopes for resumption of the ceasefire as weak. Conditions for resuming the truce, spokesman Dmitry Peskov said on Monday, were quite simple. The militants must stop firing, the terrorists must stop attacking the armed forces of Syria, and certainly it would be nice if our American colleagues didn't accidentally bombard Syrians. All right, I admit the U.S. did screw up and actually bomb some Syrians. That was an oops. It can happen to anyone once in a while. I have a feeling it's being well looked into. UN envoy Stefan de Mistura, who also attended the session, said afterward, the ceasefire is in danger. The ceasefire has been seriously affected, but the only ones who can announce the ceasefire is dead are the United States and Russia, and they have not done so. They want to give it another chance. All right, I've got some comments on the ceasefire from the U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Samantha Power.
This agreement is not an agreement based on trust and promises. It is an agreement based on reciprocal actions, halting attacks and allowing for deliveries of assistance. So we look to Russia to deliver on its commitment to use its leverage to stop the Assad regime from employing the barbaric tactics it has long used in this conflict. That means a halt to the barrel bombs and a halt to the chemical weapons attacks, a halt to indiscriminate assaults on civilian areas, and a halt to the starve, get bombed, or surrender tactics. Of damaged homes have been repaired, and more than 30. If and when the Joint Center is stood up and sets in motion action against terrorists.
All right. That's where the clip cut off from the UN. I cannot control that. I would have liked to heard the rest of it. I will look for it. Now, of course, Russia denies responsibility for aid convoy strike. Neither Russian nor Syrian, according, and this article is from Al Jazeera.net, which of course is the English-speaking version. Neither Russian nor Syrian planes bombed an aid convoy in Syria's Aleppo, Moscow says, and as an outrage mounted over the attack, the UN said could be a war crime. The Red Cross, which operates in the Middle East as the Red Crescent, basically the Muslims don't like the word cross, so we switch it in the Middle East to crescent. Same people, same goal, same mission, second label, okay? We on that scorecard? Red Cross, Red Crescent, same people. Got it, good. The Red Cross said on Tuesday at least 20 people were killed in the attack on trucks carrying desperately needed humanitarian relief to thousands of Syrians. The air forces of Russia and Syria did not conduct any airstrikes against the UN aid convoy in the southwestern outskirts of Aleppo, Defense Ministry spokesman Igor Kornashov said in a statement carried by Russian news agencies. Kornashikov said the attack the previous night doesn't appear to have been from an airstrike. That's not what the U.S. Pentagon says, but the Syrian Civil Defense volunteer rescue group known as White Helmets that operates in rebel-held areas posted images of several vehicles on fire. The Russian military carefully studied the video recordings of the so-called activists from the scene and found that no signs that any munitions hit the convoy. Everything shown in this video is a direct consequence of cargo catching fire. And this began in a strange way simultaneously with militants carrying out a massive offensive in Aleppo. The UN, of course, has suspended all aid convoys to Syria and said that the attack on the convoy could amount to a war crime. A rescue worker who witnessed the convoy attack said more than 20 missiles pounded the area for hours, even hitting his team as he searched the debris for survivors. And that is Hussein Badawi, who leads the White Helmets in Uram al-Kubra. And he accused Syrian and Russian aircraft of taking part. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, speaking at the UN General Assembly in New York, called those who attacked the convoy cowards. Powerful patrons that keep feeding the war machine also have blood on their hands. Like I said, that is strong language for a UN Secretary General. The United States said it was unclear if it was a Russian or Syrian plane, but officials placed the blame on Moscow, the key ally of embattled Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. Americans are firmly blaming the Russians, saying they're not reigning in Damascus. The convoy was part of a routine interagency dispatch operated by the Syrian Arab Red Crescent. Again, Red Crescent, Red Cross, same song, second verse. Following Monday's aid, the new wave of bloodshed came after the Syrian army unilaterally declared the end of a week-long truce brokered by U.S. and Moscow. Notice, U.S. and Moscow didn't declare it, Syrian army did. Okay? Okay. Syrian Arab Red Crescent was also hit during Monday's airstrike as was a warehouse run by the group. Syrian Arab Red Crescent volunteers were among at least 28 civilians killed in an Aleppo area in the first hours after violence resumed following the formal end of the truce, according to UK-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. The rebel-held area east of Aleppo City, home to some 300,000 people, has been cut off from aid deliveries since July despite the ceasefire. Okay, basically, the ceasefire ended fast and hard. And the U.S. said, we didn't do it. Russia said, well, we didn't do it, and Syria didn't do it. And Syria, they're trying to blame rebels. There are people that say, oh, but it was terrorists on the ground. Okay, let me connect the dots for 2 seconds. These people need these supplies just to live. Because they have no food, no medical supplies. Why on earth would they attack a Red Crescent convoy? They know Red Crescent convoys are just that. They need the supplies the Red Crescent convoys are bringing, so why would any rebel in their right mind, no matter what their goals, why would they attack them? I can't figure that one out. So that, and Russia blaming the, quote, rebels inside the country makes no sense in my mind. I mean, really? I mean, it really doesn't. It's one of those things, why would you attack the only people that are attempting to help you? One of a very few groups that are attempting to help you is the Red Crescent. Why would you attack them? Alright. Oh, my stapler's going to be stubborn. Give me 1 second here. Yes, I'm working on stapling together articles as I'm reading them. What can I say? I often don't get to all my articles, and some I'll save for another day, and some will just hit the trash can, because, well, they're too time sensitive. If I don't get it out today, there'll be an update tomorrow, and this one will be useless. So it's a 50-50 what happens to those leftover articles. Alright. I'm arguing with the stapler. We are almost, my oh my, where does the time fly? We are almost at the bottom of the hour. And my stapler is still being stubborn. So, and Host Kitty is off chasing a frog or a toad of some ilk tonight. So I'm not sure if he'll be joining us. I have yet to even attempt to get him in on this one. He seems intent on hunting green things, and I don't mean his vegetables. I mean, come on. What cat does eat their vegetables? I'm sure there's a few out there, especially if they're covered in butter or cheese. Mine does like his cheese, so maybe I could get him to eat his green beans that way, but I don't even bother trying. I just give him his cat food. It's probably better for him anyway. Alright, we are almost at the bottom of the hour, and yay, I do have a working stapler. So, I am going to start that brief commercial break, and while we are at commercial break, I am going to see if I can round up that audio for you, or at least the list of charges, if not the audio, of what charges the bomber that placed the bombs in the U.S. in New York and New Jersey is facing. Alright, I'm just getting this keyed up. Like I said, Host Kitty's fallen down on the job today, and he's off frog hunting, so it's all me. It's all me. I don't even have paw assistance tonight. Alright, we are going to take that break, and I will be back with you shortly.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry, or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
If you want to work until you keel over, have less of everything in retirement, or give back more of your hard-earned money to the stock market again, then just ignore me. But if you'd like to protect the money you save, receive a steady, predictable retirement income, and enjoy financial security for as long as you live, then listen to this. You can download a free report that reveals the wealth-building secrets Wall Street and the banks don't want you to know. You'll learn how you can get guaranteed growth, safety, and real prosperity without risking your money in the Wall Street casino, and how to get the money you need when you need it, simply by asking for it. This is the best way to have a 100% secure retirement, and know your money will last as long as you do. To learn more about this method, and to get your free report, go to 29security.com. That's the number 29security.com. 29security.com. Go to 29security.com.
Down if you wanna, you can run away if you wanna, you can pretend that this is totally okay if you wanna, you can play dead if you wanna, forget what they said if you wanna, turn your back on the country needing you right now, but I don't wanna.
All right, thank you for hanging in there with me over that commercial break. Sorry, it took me just a little bit longer. I was working on trying to find the actual charges. I found 1,000 other things. 1,000 other things. He may have bought some of the items on the FBI, or on eBay, according to the FBI. Including citric acid and circuit board prototype breadboards. Yeah, that's something that every teenager goofing around with electronics picks up. The bomb was similar, according to the FBI, to those used by Boston Marathon bombers and a device left behind by the San Bernardino shooters, which did not go off. The investigation, of course, is ongoing. So there is a handwritten journal he left behind. Prosecutors say the document ends, the sounds of bombs will be heard in the streets, gunshots to your police, death to your oppression. It wasn't immediately clear whether Rahami had a lawyer who could comment on the charges. So, like I said, he was brought to the United States as a baby. Yes, I said a baby, as an infant. So we could never have talked. I understand why maybe he slipped the radar in the early stages. But he did travel to Afghanistan multiple times and at least once to Pakistan. Nobody's quite sure. Now, I have a little bit of audio here from CBS. And give me just a second. I need to get it cleaned up just a bit. I need to figure out where one thing stops and the other thing starts. Alright. Give me just 1 second on this. Anyway, but yeah, I am I'm going to try and stay on top of this for you. I'm going to try and be a source of news on this topic for you. Can I guarantee it? No. It's going to depend on what's open and what I can find. Alright, in the meantime, hopefully I have this queued to the right spot. So let's take a listen.
Rahami lived here with his family above their chicken restaurant in Elizabeth, New Jersey. He first came to the U.S. from Afghanistan, sources say, as a baby just a couple of months old. He attended Edison High School in New Jersey, where one classmate contacted by CBS News described him as nice and easygoing. Others said he was quiet and kept to himself. Imam Ali Jabber knew Rahami and his family.
No one knew him to be a problem or a menace in school or society or in the community.
As a teenager, he and a girlfriend had a child, a daughter now in elementary school. After high school, he attended nearby Middlesex County College, where he majored in criminal justice. A spokesman says he was a full-time student from fall 2010 through fall 2012, but never graduated. Neighbors said he later began working at his family's chicken restaurant. In his early 20s, during his trips to Afghanistan and Pakistan, he married. In 2014, he made efforts to bring his wife into the U.S. New Jersey Congressman Albio Series confirms Rahami sent an email from Pakistan to Series' office, wanting to know the status of an entry visa and passport for his wife. She was later denied the visa, Series' office said, because she was found to be 35 weeks pregnant and would have needed Pakistani passports for both herself and the baby to gain entry into the United States.
Now, Series says Rahami told his office that he had been in Pakistan since April of 2013. The congressman said his office did not have any reason to be concerned about Rahami at that time.
Anna Werner, thank you.
All right, and like I said, that audio is courtesy of CBS. And so we do have proof he traveled to Pakistan and Afghanistan. He married while he was abroad. So, and he was charged with several crimes, including the use of weapons of mass destruction and bombing of a place of public use. And I'm looking for the latest. See if this article has it. I'm going to try one more site. If it doesn't work, we're going to move on. Because I haven't even gotten to North Korea yet. First, I just want a list of the charges. I'm skimming through this article. Federal charges against Ahmad Rahami. All right. And I will post this document because it is a downloadable document. Let's see. Count 1, use of weapons of mass destruction. Count 2, bombing a place of public use. Count 3, destruction of property by means of fire or explosives. Count 4, use of destructive device during and in furtherance of a crime of violence. And I think that's it. Now, there is more detail in here. Let's see. I'm going to go into just a little bit. Or was it? Okay, hang on, I'm looking, I'm trying to skim it. Basically, the fact that he used ball bearings in the things to make them more dangerous is part of one of the charges. It also says here, between June 20th, 2016 and approximately August 10th, 2016, an eBay user with the registered name Ahmed Rahimi purchased several items on the eBay website. Each of these items was shipped to a specific business located in Perth Amboy, New Jersey. Perth Amboy business, based on the information described here, I believe that purchaser is innocent of fact. Ahmad Khan Rahami, aka Ahmad Rahami, the defendant. On or about August 10th, Ahmad Rahami purchased an item described in part as citric acid USB, food grade 5-pound back rate for bath bombs and candy making. Now, by bath bombs, here's the thing. They don't mean anything that goes boom. A bath bomb is supposed to be something cool and
infused with scents and stuff to help you relax. Ahmed Rahimi, purchase note described as e-match for fireworks systems, firing system electric igniters display. And the FBI special agent put together this complaint, said, I know based on my training experience and conversations with other law enforcement officials that e-match electric igniters can be used as a critical component of detonation of an improvised explosive device. How did they say the citric acid was going to be used? Let me see. Based on my training experience and conversations with other law enforcement officials, citric acid is a precursor chemical commonly used in improvised explosives. Alright. Basically, I will put this up. It's kind of dry reading, but it is, to suffice it to say, that he is facing federal charges. And they've got the fingerprints, they've got the proof. So, what can I say there? I will work on trying to download this, or at worst case get a link to it that you can follow. If I am able to download it, I will. Alright. If I am able to download it, I will post it on my website. If not, there will be a link to it on my website. I'm going to look and see if I can get the original from the court system, since I have the document number and all that fun stuff. Alright. Enough about the chaos inside the U.S. Let's turn to one of my favorite topics, North Korea. But this one is the North Korean people. And you know, as I've said in the past, I do feel for the North Korean people. And this is according to UNICEF. The recent deadly flooding in North Korea has washed away entire communities, leaving tens of thousands of people homeless with disease and malnutrition on the rise. At least 138 people have died. Okay, now that number is up from the previous total I found, which was 133. And hundreds more are missing after torrential rains caused devastation in the country's far north, with rescue teams only now making it to the more remote, hard-hit areas. UNICEF's Anil Pokhrel was part of the relief team, says that it's really shocking to see the scale of damage. Photographs of the area show barren expanses of mud dotted with the wreckage of homes as local residents, wrapped up against the coming winters, try to salvage what they could to rebuild. Disease and malnutrition are rising, UNICEF said, with health clinics reporting that twice as many children were seeking help compared to before the disaster. Respiratory infections, diarrhea, and indigestion are also increasingly common. Aid workers were distributing peanut butter paste, which is used to treat severe acute malnutrition to local children, warning that numbers are expected to rise dramatically without support. There is desperate need for proper and good access to food, nutrition, clean water, health, and proper sanitation facilities, said Pokhrel. Houses, roads, and train lines were all washed away in the area, leaving more than 24,000 people homeless, cut off from help, and struggling to find food and clean water. The damage is on a much bigger scale than initially thought, Pokhrel said. The impoverished nation is vulnerable to natural disasters, especially floods, due partially to deforestation and poor infrastructure. Alright, as you can imagine, North Korea does not have the best infrastructure. Come on. The areas around Pyongyang are what I call parade pretty. They're there. But that doesn't mean that they exist anywhere else. Alright. We are discussing 39,500 acres of farmland. And this article says 140,000 people have been left homeless and in need of urgent help. People in the region are suffering great hardship, according to the North Korean state media, on a nationwide 200-day labor campaign originally boosting the economy has been redirected to assist the victims. It's not the first time the country's been hit. And as we all know, the country is under extreme amounts of sanctions from the UN. Okay, so is North Korea focusing just on rebuilding and recovery for their people? Are you kidding? North Korean leader Kim Jong-un supervised a ground test of a new rocket engine to launch satellites, quote-unquote, the North State media reported Tuesday, the latest in a rapid succession of missile-related tests this year by the isolated state. Kim asked the scientists and engineers to make, quote, preparations for launching the satellite as soon as possible on the basis of the successful test. The official KCNA news agency said, indicating that North may soon launch another long-range rocket. Alright, let's be clear here. Every, quote, satellite the North Korea has attempted to launch has failed to achieve a successful orbit. Do you actually think they're going to pull one off this time? Because guess what, folks? I don't think so. Alright. The North has been testing nuclear weapons and ballistic missiles at an unprecedented rate this year under Kim's direction, including launch of a satellite in February that was widely seen as a long-range ballistic missile test. The North's Rongdong Sinmun newspaper carried photographs of Kim on a podium overlooking the vertical test stand that housed a rocket engine blasted a column of flame. Spokesman for South Korea's military, Yeon Hae-gu, said the test was likely a performance of a new engine that could be used for a long-range missile. The test is another important development pointing to the first launch of a bigger, better space vehicle to place satellites in orbit, which could happen in the not-too-distant future, said Joel Witt of the 38 North website. North Korea claimed after its nuclear test this month that it had mastered the ability to mount a warhead on a ballistic missile, a worrying prospect for its neighbors to the south, and in other words, South Korea and Japan. Developing an effective intercontinental ballistic missile would put the continental United States in range of North Korea's nuclear weapons. Joshua Pollack, editor of the U.S.-based Non-Proliferation Review, said North Korea's media's description of a rocket engine with 80 tons of thrust would make it a very powerful rocket, well beyond anything the North Koreans have shown before. And he also said the test may be a result of cooperation with Iran. And for those of you who aren't regular listeners to this show or are living under a rock, yes, the North Korea and Iran, they're buddy-buddy. They trade together. Up until recently, Iran has been on the most ostracized list. Thanks to President Obama and his Iran nuclear agreement, which is the biggest farce I've ever seen, and for more information on that, you can see some of my earlier shows, because I only have 10 minutes left. Let's just put it this way, there are more side deals on that than I care to go into. In fact, let me see if I can actually load some old audio. I still keep some. Alright. Let's see what this one says. I don't remember, but we're going to take a listen to it.
The U.S. and its allies allowed Iran to sidestep key restrictions on its nuclear program as they rush to meet deadlines for last year's deal, Reuters has learned, keeping President Obama's standout foreign accomplishment on track at a critical moment. Foreign policy reporter Jonathan Landay has the exclusive.
I was able to review a report coming out this week that says Iran was given exemptions by the United States and its negotiating partners from certain restrictions in the Iran nuclear deal. In particular, one of these exemptions gave it a pass on the amount of low-enriched uranium it's allowed to have in its facilities. How much it actually has in the facilities is not apparent, which is why there is concern over this issue. The United States and its negotiating partners, known as the P5+1, secretly agreed to give Iran these exemptions so that Iran could meet the deadline for the beginning of the lifting of financial sanctions that were crushing its economy. Meeting the deadline to begin the lifting of sanctions was incredibly crucial to President Hassan Rouhani of Iran, who basically made his election platform the lifting of sanctions. So there appears to have been a political aspect to the granting of these secret waivers.
And we took off the sanctions, and we made this horrible deal.
With the Iran deal a hot issue on the campaign trail, the revelation could pose problems for President Obama and Hillary Clinton.
The problem is that they were done in secret. And the fact is that the Obama administration had repeatedly said that it had made no quote-unquote secret side deals with the Iranians. The critics are absolutely certain to see these exemptions as a secret side deal.
The White House pushing back, saying they never allowed Iran to skirt any restrictions, and assuring Reuters Iran did not have enough material to construct a nuclear weapon. Ever since Obama struck the deal last year, Republicans, including presidential nominee Donald Trump, have been up in arms, saying it doesn't prevent Iran from creating a nuclear weapon.
All right, so now you heard audio on why I think the Iran nuclear deal is a complete farce. Oh yes, I said it's farcical. So what can I say in addition to that? No clue. Now, while I do have some more information on North Korea, you know, I always have a ton on them. And I always seem to have more than I care get to and more than I care to read. I am looking for a different article. Let me see if I can find the audio of President Erdogan. Alright, let me see if I can pull it up real quick, because I don't have it open, but let's see if we can grab it. Which version is this?
Şayet bugün karşınızda bulunuyor.
Okay, this is the one we'll never understand. Give me 2 more seconds to see, because I believe I have it. It's just stuck elsewhere. Alright, come on. And it was good audio, and it's also from the UN today. You're going to get a lot from the UN, because right now, for those of you, as my husband likes to say, mere mortals, I swear I got that audio. Alright, let me see if it's in one of my open windows here. Because it's obviously not this one. Sorry, I'm a little bit disorganized tonight. That just tells you how rough of a day I've had. Alright, I think this might be it. Let's take a listen. Oh no, this is President Obama on the refugees. Even better. Let's see what President Obama had to say at the UN today.
This crisis is one of the most urgent tests of our time, our capacity for collective action. It tests, first and foremost, our ability to end conflicts, because so many of the world's refugees come from just 3 countries ravaged by war: Syria, Afghanistan, and Somalia. Our daughters. That little boy on the beach could be our son or our grandson. And we cannot avert our eyes or turn our backs. To slam the door in the face of these families would betray our deepest values. It would deny our own heritage as nations, including the United States of America, that have been built by immigrants and refugees. And it would be to ignore a teaching at the heart of so many faiths, that we do unto others as we would have them do unto us.
All right, so let's see if the president continues after all the clapping.
Türkiye olarak.
Nope. Alright, I've got one more audio clip we're going to try. Let's see if I've got it.
Trucks, a warehouse full of supplies.
Alright, this is about the UN bombing. The bombing of the aid convoy.
Activists say the missiles destroyed at least 8 aid trucks, a warehouse full of supplies, and a hospital. The strike near Aleppo late on Monday came just hours after a week-long ceasefire had ended. The UN's Jens Larg says he is outraged.
This very, very dark day for humanitarians in Syria, and I say across the world.
The airstrike, blamed on Syrian or Russian warplanes, killed at least one Syrian Arab Red Crescent aid worker and around 20 civilians. It dashed hopes for nearly 80,000 people in al-Kubra waiting for food and medicine. Moscow denies any involvement by either Russia or Syria, saying only that militants were aware of the convoy's location. The United Nations has now suspended aid convoys across the country. Trucks filled with food supplies on Turkey's border with Syria are now languishing in customs, waiting for another opportunity. But after this latest attack, they may be waiting for some time.
Alright, so let me see if I can find the story I had picked to do as my good news story of the day. Because you know I like to end on something cute, something good news, or just something of unique interest. Oh, where's the polar bear? Yeah, you should see my desk. You'd be aghast at the amount of papers hanging out on my desk. You really would be. And as much as I try and get it organized, it never seems to get any better. Alright, give me just a second. Let me see if I can pull up the article about the Russians and the polar bear. Alright. A 7-month-old polar bear cub was airlifted from Far East Russia to the Moscow Zoo to become part of a polar bear breeding program. Hey. And it had help from the Russian military. What can I say? Good job, Russian military, on airlifting a polar bear. I can't usually compliment you, but as there is another show, hot on my heels, on the note of the polar bear's successful airlift, you know what's coming. I'm out of here!